We have a Sagittarius full moon at 2 degrees of Sagittarius coming up on the 23rd of May. It is embedded within the context of a mystic rectangle, which literally looks like a rectangle in the sky that can be very positive for making the difficulties, hardships, and calamities of life, which we can call the lemons, into lemonade. For a mystic rectangle binds the tensions of oppositions into something sweet and beautiful because it forms a sextile and trine relationship between 4 planets. And we're going to talk about this in your sky, how the Sagittarius part of your sky is a part of 3 other points of your sky. We also will be bringing into the story the asteroids Lucifer and Lilith and the trans-Neptunian Admetos and also Astaea, the star maiden. All of these delineations give a flavor for this beautiful mystic rectangle. And because it's a full moon, it's a culminating moon, it is completing or fruiting something that really began for all of us in December when we had a new moon in Sagittarius. Now, this is my second video on this full moon. I also did one focused most primarily on Pluto, and I called it a Pluto-powered new moon. Go check that out. It's already out. That is a problematic video if you do not want to hear about situations in the war in the Middle East or other problems in the world at large. Do not go watch that video because it's front loaded with mundane astrology. It's the first time I've put a video out where I've been algorithmically suppressed. So I'm doing a second video because I used a word that starts with G and ends in E. And that word is not liked by this particular platform. And that video, I have never seen something like that. I literally have never seen a video that I put out like 6 days ago that has 0 new subscribers. And it's also been suppressed in terms of the views, etc. So just letting you know, here we go again. This is a happier version. Woohoo! Let's keep it happy, but it is happy. There is a mystic rectangle that I didn't talk about last time, and it can be a very beautiful way of seeing the goodness that can come from something that's difficult in the world at large and in each of our lives. So we're going to look at the mystic rectangle now. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac, the whole sign house system. If you're new to my channel, give me a like, subscribe, and try me out. I'm recording this video for my Patreon community, early access ad-free content on Friday, May the 17th. And if you're catching this video in May and you'd like to win a free reading with me, or multiple numerous prizes such as free courses, 2024 All Signs video bundles, 15 hours of video content for free. I'm giving away 11 prizes every week until the end of May, and it was a celebration for reaching 60,000 subs on YouTube, but it is specific to being a part of my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter. To subscribe, check the description box below. Now, we're going to be here about an hour. Now, it's not a long video, but it's an important video. I took all the extraneous planets out of the way so no one had to look at them. And let's make it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. I used to be a reporter, a newspaper reporter, magazine editor. KISS, keep it simple, stupid, was a main motto of how to make sure that we kept our audience reading. So I'm going to try to keep you guys watching. Mystic rectangles always about taking things that are challenging and making them easier, and giving us the sort of like life is happening for me, not to me way of understanding the world, or resiliency. It's not how many times I fall off that bicycle, it's how many times I get back up. So resiliency, being able to make lemonade from lemons, a sense of understanding that everything is happening for me, not to me. Those are elemental energetics, in my humble view, of what a rectangle, mystic rectangle, is about. This is a rare formation in people's natal charts. It's as rare as the finger of God or the yod. I have seen a few clients with it, of course, and my daughter has one as well, but I'm just saying it is not the most common formation. Now, this particular mystic rectangle is being anchored by Pluto at 2 degrees of Aquarius retrograding, by the sun at 2 degrees of Gemini, by the moon at 2 degrees of Sagittarius. And in this case, there would be no mystic rectangle, simply a wedge, if I wasn't to include the star maiden Astaea and Volcanus. That's a trans-Neptunian planet, as well, or Uranian trans-Neptunian planet, as well as I've added some extra flavor here. This is Lilith, the asteroid, not black moon. And this is also over here, Pandora. She is a first woman. Lilith was the first wife of Adam. Astaea is the virginal star maiden who stayed behind to save humanity and then finally left in the Iron Age because things got tough, but will come back one day to redeem us. We have three female archetypes here. The pure justice, celestial goodness of the star maiden Astaea, with Lilith, the first wife of Adam, who was also disqualified and made demonized as the mother of demons. That's a part of any Lilith story. This asteroid also involves facing the darkness and dealing with places of difficulty and darkness in the world and in our lives. And then over here we have Pandora, the first wife, the first woman, created by Athena and Zeus, and the guy who stole the fire from the gods. Oh, come on, guys, what's his name? Prometheus. Pandora. So we have a lot of feminine energy in this story, which is interesting to me. Just as a principle, the world is in a time of calamity, and the feminine energy to me is going to be a very restorative or healing energy. Now, over here is Lucifer. This is the asteroid that has to do with a fall from pride because one is rebellious or thinks they're better than the divine order of the heavens or God. So, you know, the rebellious Lucifer, light bringer angel who fell from arrogance, pride, and hubris, is here with the sun, and the sun can represent leaders in the world. So we may see the fall of a leader as a result of this mystic rectangle, not just on the actual lunation on May 23rd, because it's becoming full then, but it can represent a story that can tumble into the 6 months that follow. This here is Admetos. So that's a story and a half. I'm going to tell the story to you right now. This is a trans-Neptunian planet, and it's a hypothetical planet outside the bounds, a trans-Neptunian of Neptune. And Admetos is a story of a guy who everybody loved. He was a king, I believe, and Apollon was one of his house guests, and everyone thought he was a great guy. And he got an offer from this guy named Apollon to avoid death, to become immortal, to not have to die. But someone would have to sacrifice their life for Admetos to have this gift. And no one volunteered. So the gods took his wife and killed her and took her as a sacrifice. Of course, he loved his wife and he was completely bereft and then became deeply depressed about the loss of his beloved wife. Eventually, I think Zeus felt sorry for him and gave him his wife back, but he could never really lift the heaviness of what had happened. And so he was kind of basically, I'm going to call it in our modern world, post-traumatic stress disordered. And it's funny because the Iranianastrologer.com, the woman who runs that site, actually delineated that this signature of Admetos is a part of the building of the Pentagon in terms of the birth of the Pentagon structures and buildings, or maybe the delineation of the creation of the Pentagon itself. And she talks about how that heavy energy of being sort of super serious and heavy about life in general, and also very cerebral. It can be very much about things like the military embodiment of the Pentagon, because it's very powerfully placed in the chart of the Pentagon. But I also would think of someone like Admetos in the story itself. It's like, where have there been losses and tragedies and upsets in our lives? And we, even though we may recover from them on the surface, we haven't recovered inside of ourselves. There's the trauma within that holds us hostage in some way. And so with Admetos on the sun, on Lucifer, in the world, of course, this full moon and the months that follow can literally be the fall of a world leader who unleashed the evils and the ailments of the world upon the world, Pandora and her box. Hope was in the bottom of the box. There's hope in the box, but also there's a heaviness here and a despair and a kind of closed up emotional content of trauma involved in whatever this sky is about. Now, in your own world, I'm not going to talk too much about all of that. I'm just going to say this is a part of your sky, these four houses, the Gemini and the Aquarius and the Sag and the Leo, that are trying to form a energetic lemonade from some lemons that have been occurring. Precisely when? Well, I'm going to definitely focus on the idea since last December's new moon in Gemini. Okay, what else I want to say? Star Maiden Astaea, great story. Basically, she's the last of the gods of Mount Olympus to stick around and help humanity. Everyone bailed. Then things got really tough in the Iron Age, and she got really disenchanted with humanity. She's celestial, pure, and virginal, and she's about justice. She's part of the constellation of Virgo energetically. She's supposed to come back and redeem humanity at the end of the days. Okay, that's the vibe. She's kind of like She can represent a place where we don't give up even when we should, but she can also represent a part of our chart where we care about the collective and we want to do something to help. And then, of course, we have this is Volcanus, and Volcanus is emblematic of the husband of Venus who forged the weapons of Zeus. He's also something volcanic and suppressed rage that comes raging up like a volcano. Okay. All right, so let's talk about this for your sign. We're not going to do world astrology on this one because literally I have never, ever, ever put out a video in my entire years where I have no new subscribers on it. And it's because the suppression that happened from that video I did on the Pluto-powered Sagittarius full moon came because I talked at large for the first 25 minutes about world politics and wars. And I used some key flag words for this platform. One starts with a G and ends in an E, right? It's the only time I've said that word and we're going, oops, I shouldn't have said that word. And so this is going to be the antidote to the last video just for me on my algorithm, but I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Please like and subscribe and give me a chance in astrology land to redeem myself from talking about world politics last time. If you do like mundane astrology, and most of my followers do, I'll just be careful and not use the words that get me flagged in the future. So I will say, just as a general principle, there are principal actors in the world right now. The nation of the United States is a Sag rising. The leader of the United States is a Sag rising. The leader of the nation that starts with the letter I in the Middle East is a Sag rising. So there's a lot going on with the situation in those characters, worlds, and also the world of the USA as a Sag rising that is playing out in the sky because of this lunation, which is connected to Pluto. And if we didn't have this Admetos, this Volcanus Astaea story, we'd simply have a wedge in the sky. Pluto, moon, sun, wedge, and that's also positive in its own right. Okay, that's why I called it a Pluto-powered full moon in Sagittarius in my completely dead in the water, punitively punished algorithmic nightmare video. Okay. Let's continue on. We're going to go through each sign. We're going to talk about how this impacts you. And we're going to talk about the idea of reconciliation, resilience. Things are happening for you, not to you, where you've experienced some hardships in your life. And now this is kind of a remedial sky that is trying to patch up the damage and give you a chance to get back on the bicycle. Alrighty, so we're starting with Aries as always. Let's go into the hours mode so we can cue for Aries. Aries, sun, moon, and rising. And this is a quickie, guys. It's just a follow-up video to the first one I've already put out, which is longer. Now, Aries, in the sky, you can see this beautiful rectangle forming. Doesn't it look amazing? And this is on the 23rd of May, but it kind of informs a feeling you'll have over the 6 months that follow. I mean, where have you felt maybe traumatized or post-traumatically stressed? Where have you felt like you maybe even had a kind of a Luciferian moment? Your pride and arrogance got the better of you in some Gemini part of your sky, and you really want to be a perseverant force for good, but there is some suppressed volcanic rage playing out beneath the surface. Well, ultimately, everything wants to play out here in the full moon Sagittarius area of your sky, where you had a new moon in, I think, around December 15th. So this is for you, a part of your sky that has to do with your spiritual philosophy, your dharma, a deeper meaning in your life, a feeling of being on point in alignment with your true north. And maybe some of that attempt for alignment with that, ultimate true north of your being, because we're going very more spiritual, psychological today, right? With all this energy of a mystic rectangle. Maybe some of that has had you trying to balance things out when it comes to how you handle your earnings and your success in your career, Pluto in the 11th, and how you work on your joy, fun, play, and pleasure, your 5th house. I mean, honestly, suppressed rage and then the star maiden here, you may have literally been trying to not give up the ghost and having a perseverant hopefulness that you can restore some joy and pleasure to your life, fun and play, inspiration and enthusiasm. But it's volcanically intense because perhaps it's been a struggle. Every mystic rectangle embodies the tension of the opposites. So we have the tension between this volcanic energy and this star maiden in the 5th house opposite Pluto in the 11th. And it's like, oh my God, maybe you're really, really trying hard to find a way to find your balance between the career ambition, success, earnings, and all of that, and your fun, your joy, your play, your pleasure. And at the same time, up here, the full moon is saying, look over at the ninth house. How are you going to find deep, profound meaning in life and fulfillment, fullness of a full moon? And yet you also have to balance out the idea that you've got to put a stake in the third. And the sun represents that part of your life. It is your soul's purpose, your career as well. Maybe you're really trying to figure out how to balance out the third house of writing, communicating, traveling, education, things to do with your daily life and the routines of your daily life, this fishbowl in which you swim. And sort of these daily routines, the fun, play, joy, and pleasure are trying to be restored in a lemonade-like way over the next 6 months. Ultimately, it all hinges on finding a clarity, because a full moon sheds a light into aligning with the dharma of your life so that you can authentically power up in the expression of your greater career gains. And a lot of what I'd say to all of us Aries, I have a sun and moon, is that follow the archetypal energy of the pole star of your life, your true north compass point. Because the more you align with your ultimate true purpose, the more joy, fun, play, pleasure you will experience in your world, including in a greater harmony with your daily life, your daily environment, and your daily routines. Your third house matters. I hope that is in support of a greater vision for what you can be accomplishing in the next 6 months as this moon guides you towards the mystic rectangle solutions. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. And please listen for all three. Please listen for all three. They're different in their meanings, but it's important to try them all out. So Taurus, a mystic rectangle, has formed on this full moon in the house of chunky money and money you share with and resources you share with others, especially your significant other, sometimes a business partner, sometimes inheritance money, sometimes money because you have investments and stuff like that. Now, that kind of place, that eighth house place, is also deeply psychological as well. It's your own psyche, your own psychology, your own sort of forbidden zone of the darker spots of your own, self-doubts, betrayals, and abandonment complexes. So there's a full light here in this very psychologically oriented eighth house. But on a practical note, where have you, starting last December, needed to find some greater light that has been growing and is now shining in this kind of way you resource money with other people, not just on your own, and how you can use that money? And that includes a credit card or bank loan, but it's also that leveraged unearned income. And of course, the sun is shining from the house of the earnings, and that's that tension between what you make and what you possess and what you save and what other monies are available to you as sources of financial wellness. And you also know that you've been looking for some hope at the bottom of Pandora's box. You may have been kind of post-traumatic a bit here with Admetos, going into kind of a heavy, heavy despair that has weighed upon you around the axis of your finances. With Pluto at the top of the sky, a lot of what has gone on has to do with also the money you're able to extract from your career and reputation. And also, it looks like you're having some challenges in and from your home with this volcanic rage, perhaps, and all this need to endure and not give up, the star maiden. And sometimes this kind of tension between the home and the work is literally what it is. Maybe you've been finding since last December, the home work-life balance is completely off kilter, and you're not able to find that space that it is in equilibrium. Now, I would love to say that this is probably looking like the lemonade of a balance between home and work life, but also between the financial hard ass energy of, like, literally, being Luciferian here, having to really focus to bring a bright light into this earning space, but maybe also falling into a kind of, what do you call it, like a exile from heaven through the hard work you've been doing here. And the heavy energy of post-traumatic stress, like this post-traumatic stress that I kind of jokingly call Admetos, heavy energy, not being able to recover from a time of difficulty. This is very heavy energy around deeper energies to do with your family of origin as well. This is your childhood, your fourth house. And maybe some of you are not even conscious of how some of your self-worth, self-value, and self-esteem has been connected to issues in your childhood that may have had to do with family rage, systemic rage, unprocessed family system angers that have been simmering below the surface. Like, did you watch your, star maiden father or mother, especially mother, work really hard to make something work in the family system at the expense of herself? Because there's a sacrificial nature to the star maiden for the sake of there is an enduring perseverance. So you may be dealing with some unprocessed family of origin secrets, shedding light, moon, or ways of being. And I ultimately think that the outcome for you, without getting too deep, is that by the time this full moon finishes up 6 months from now, work-life balance and financial balance are what you're getting out of this mystic rectangle. That is your lemonade. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is a story that opens up a sky for you that says, let's look at where you have been struggling. It's maybe since last December, because this full moon is creating a mystic rectangle that says it is a struggle between self and other, between you and your significant life partner, a struggle or difficult imbalance between you and your audience and marketplace. I can relate as a Gemini sun because I'm putting so much content out there. I'm not sure I have time for me anymore. And this also embodies a struggle between your third and ninth house. The ninth house, Pluto, is saying power up into a dharmic alignment with your purpose. And then there's all of this perseverant star maiden energy trying to work it out in the house of social media, online platforms, local neighbors and neighborhoods, childhood friends, etc. Maybe you've just been struggling to find a balance between the kind of output you put into the third house, communicating, writing, selling, the conversations with the local neighbors and neighborhood and daily life activities that have been creating even a kind of volcanic rage beneath the surface of who you are. And the star maiden has made you resiliently perseverant in the dedication to something greater, to help humanity, but at the expense of that dharmic alignment. Because the Pluto places, what's the powerful purpose and meaning of your life? How are you supposed to use those unique skills and talents that you're born for in a powerful alignment with your purpose? And we can lead a successful life without any meaning, or a meaningful life without any success. Ideally, we have both. So balance between you and your marketplace audiences, clients, and significant other, and the needs that you have. There's hope, Pandora's box, coming into place over the next 6 months, but also a balance between the way you are outputting stories into the third house of daily life and regular people you see on the daily, and also things you do in the online social media world, or in writing and creative writing projects, or communicating and selling endeavors, versus this powerful energy that you need to say to yourself, I need to find my truest, deepest, most authentic, transformative, divine will-powered purpose in life. And all of this says, over the next 6 months, that balance will happen, mostly, by the way, by seeing the light of the moon shining brightly in the house of how you attend to the needs and the focus on others, and maybe not so much for yourself. And you need to bring it back to the power of the sun, Pluto. Focusing on yourself aligns you more deeply with purpose. Okay, we're moving into Cancer. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. I'm not sure when this video is even going to go out, but I might pop this video out on Sunday. I'm recording on Friday, the 17th of May. This is a story where you're going to see a full moon with a mystic rectangle embedded in it, playing out maybe from December's new moon, where you are trying to find balance in a place of imbalance and create some lemonade from those lemons of challenges you've had here. One of the challenges that's indicated by the opposition of the sun and moon is the balance point between what you've been achieving or trying to achieve in your spiritual liberation, solitude and contemplation, 12th house. But you've had also to attend to the energies of your 6th house, which is your health, which is the the energies of the work and the work environment, the energies of matters to do with pets, even. And your sixth house is also some energetics of debts and karmic and real life financial debts. And that moon has been, since a new moon in December, now it's full light here, a full light shining its way here, showing you what you need to focus on in this part of your sky. Let me just stop the share. Someone's trying to come into my Zoom room an hour early. Okay, so continuing with our story, I apologize, Cancer. I just had to tell them the client was coming in early, and that happens quite often on people's adjustment for time zone. And I just told her to go away until it's time. All right. All right. So back to you. Yeah. So and this is a karmic axis anyway. Okay. This whole thing. It's also a difficult axis, So this is difficulties to do with your deeper soul work, to do with karma, to do with debts, to do with karmic debts. And that's been a challenging point, but now there's a full light shining here. And come on, the moon is flowing over here to Pluto in the 8th house in a sextile. So one of the resolution matters and the ways to resolve it is to really look at the financial. First of all, if you go spiritual, it's how do you die and be born again to a new sense of identity? Because we are a snake shedding a skin in that 8th house. We are the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. In the deeper sense of that moksha house, this is 2 spiritual liberation houses. You're trying to go deep into your spiritual essence of who you are and discard the essence of who you are not. And so there's a big caterpillar butterfly transformation at the soul level that you're going through since last Sagittarius new moon. And now it's fulfilling itself here. And what do you need to see about the work you're doing in a full light in order to reveal and heal something that has been a challenge so that Lilith here is also about some of the deeper, darker themes that need to be squarely looked at when it comes to health and work matters for you. When we see this over here, this is your earnings, possessions, savings, and resources, financial wellness house. And it's been in an opposition to Pluto energetically, or it is now. And it bakes in this idea of maybe something going on where you have a kind of star maiden perseverance that can be maybe misplaced around the money saving stories. And with Volcanus here, if it's not repressed rage, it can be explosive change, and you may have an explosive volcanic change in your financial status over the course of the 6 months from this full moon that allow for a greater ease around your health and work matters, and opens up doors around that part of your life that is indeed 8th house and 12th house, spiritual liberation, spiritual growth, spiritual awakening. All said and done, the whole energies of 8, 6, 2, and 12 are very subtle from your first house perspective, whether it's a Cancer, Sun, Moon, or rising. And so a lot of this energy is deeply psychological, deeply psychospiritual, and under the surface of your awareness. But nonetheless, I see financial transformation and less constriction financially over the course of the 6 months that follow. And a lot of that comes from the deeper soul work you are doing. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. You can see a mystic rectangle forming in the sky, courtesy of a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius, May 23rd. In essence, you're binding the tension of opposites. The moon wants you to see a full light in your joy, fun, play, creativity, children, romance house. Well, you are also noting that you've had to look at the deal of focusing on your friends, your groups of belonging, and the gains from your career. And maybe for some of you, the career gains and the friendship circles have been taking you away from being able to really fulfill your intuition, your creative, joyful, and playful enjoyment of life, but romantic life as well. And certainly with this piece here, Pluto in the 7th house, with the opposition to the star maiden, this is classic overly enduring perseverance in a relationship situation that, while it may be transformative Pluto, is not working for you, because the star maiden stayed too long, right? It's an exhaustion factor as well. before she gave up on humanity. And then you also have a bit of suppressed rage, maybe with Volcanus here, regarding this significant relationship, whether it's a husband, a wife, a spouse, a girlfriend, boyfriend, or even a client audience relationship. You can also note that you have the sense here. I mean, this is your children, and if you have your children, and you have children, and there's a full light here, there must be something you need to really reveal or see clearly about a child or a child relationship. And, that is a part of what can be fulfilling itself. The moon is flowing to you and what's going on here. And so you may have a very profound conversation or engagement with your resilient, longstanding support of a child, but also expressing some anger that needs to be shared with that person, with that child. I mean, hopefully not a child, maybe an adult child, or a lover or a love partner. And your great career gains, or any career gains, just making money from the 10th house and receiving gains in your career, you have a energy up here that's not so great, right? Pandora's box and Admetos, who got kind of numbed out for post-traumatic stress, and a fallen angel, Lucifer. So maybe to some degree, some of your attending to your career gains has been challenging when it comes to getting the nectar and joy of life coming through your story. So you may be trying to find that balance in the next 6 months and really just have more fun. Just enjoy your life again. Just really let go and have a good time, and not worry so much about making the money from your career, for example, or attending to your social groups and networks at the expense of your true enjoyment. All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising, mystic rectangle here. It's hard to see because I'm moving the moon, but it's right here. And if you are in if you're trying to reconcile difficulty between your nest, your home, you're able to settle in the home, to really be full and fruiting in the home. That's a full moon in the 4th house. That's because it's been in tension with the energy of the sun, where you've been having to fulfill your career obligations and your reputation responsibilities in the world. And ultimately, because the new moon from December was asking you to focus here, now the full light of the moon is showing you how. How can you nest and fulfill the privacy, domestic tranquility, comfort, and ease of a nesting in the home energy, basically. And part of that has been the work. Pluto in the work house wants you to say, I can do this. I can have work and work balance, home balance. Pluto's allowing for that. But Pluto's also been and is in opposition energies to the star maiden in the 12th house. And, honestly, the 12th house and this repressed volcanic rage is about the deep psychological karmic baggage, especially regarding your family of origin and your mother stories in particular. Some of you may be really coming to a conclusion here about unresolved familial stories about your childhood, about growing up, about your mother, about rage and anger, and about karmic qualities in that relationship as well. Ancestral and matrilineal lineage narratives are being generated here as a current for a fullness and a revelation in the home, at the home. It's just asking you to enjoy your home life, maybe, and still be powerfully able to work and have work. Now, the death of a pet is the 6th house, and I actually have a Virgo rising friend whose pet passed, and it's excavated a lot of her mother loss wounds as well. So there's a possibility for Virgos of also excavation of their family of origin, sadness and losses and childhood traumas coming through stories to do with pets in the next 6 months. Ultimately, you could be getting a lot of career success, but like a fallen angel and the woes of the world and little Admetos who basically numbed out, at what expense are you ambitiously career successful in the last 6 months? Because are you actually enjoying full nesting, beautiful energies in your home? Or not? So Virgos, how can you really claim the joy of the home and the fullness of your home experience, and not have a lack of balance with your work? And that's what the universe will give you over the next 6 months. It's attempting to heal and reveal. Mystic rectangle for Libras is forming here for the full moon, bringing it to light in your 3rd house. The moon is in your 3rd house. Libra, that's about travel and shorter distance journeys. It's about your daily environment and the people you hang with, including your neighbors and neighborhoods. And it's also siblings. And it's also the third house connections to writing projects and creative projects involving the online world, social media included. Now, there's a lot of light here, right? A full moon is shining a light. You had a new moon here in December, but we can notice that the balance must be struck between the sun in the ninth house. And the ninth house is like, well, it's a lot of things. It's teaching, universities, foreign lands, legal and court and justice matters. But we go spiritual for a minute. It's the house of God versus the house of goddess. The house of God is kind of the formal dogmatic structures of religion. And the house of the goddess, the third house, is more the ease and flow of the synchronicities, the daily experience of the divine, the sacred and in the everyday and the mundane. So the full light wants you to kind of fall in love with life on the daily, and at the expense of maybe the polarity of how kind of leaning into highfalutin spiritual beliefs, traditional religious dogmatic structures is not the best path for you over the next 6 months, because you could fall like an angel from the high house of heaven. Instead, find your sacred in your everyday. Find it in the daily walk, the people in your neighborhood, the contacts you have in that environment, and the synchronicities, omens, and portents of that journey. This is also a lunation that is saying we want cooperation from Pluto. Pluto is like, find the power of your muse, find the power of your joy, find the power of your inspiration and the vitality and your life force again, because Pluto has been in this, or is expressing this opposition to explosive volcanic energies, including rage, in the 11th house of larger groups of belonging and the gains from your career. It's literally like, maybe you're spending way too much time working on things to do with money and earnings from career, as well as attending to the needs of others and larger groups of belonging at the expense of really finding the source of true divine willpower within the axis of the muse and the inspiration of the fifth house. Fifth house gives us vitality, life force, enjoyment, and play and pleasure, but it's deeper than that. It's where the soul of the chart really is in many ways. And so your own divine vitality and soul, this is normally a Leo house ruled by the sun, is in the mix for a strong mystic rectangle resolution. In essence, by the end of this 6 months, some of you will find a new creative writing project, a new relationship to the sacred and the everyday, a new inspiration infusion. Ultimately, it does flow to the house of God, and ultimately you can discover a deeper dharmic purpose. But you need to anchor that in the idea that in the everyday world in which you exist, are you finding the magic? There's an expression: the soul has an absolute unforgiving need for regular excursions into enchantment. It needs it like the body needs food and the mind needs thoughts. And that Thomas More quote is about what you have to consider in the next 6 months: the regular excursions into the daily enchantment of life, in order to really fulfill a truer vitality and purpose. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. In the sky is a mystic rectangle formed by the moon and this full moon in the sign of Sagittarius. This is opening up a full light in your earnings house. This is where you planted a seed in December. Possessions, earnings, money, and also things you put in your mouth is a second house. And you are noticing that the moon has an opposition to the sun in the house of chunky money. And there may be this tension between the money that you have, like sharing with your marriage partner, sharing with your business partner, money from banks, loans, mortgages, and your own safety savings net and daily resource money, like you earn it, or your possessions, the I havingness house versus I have money, but I share it with others, right? So your own personal havingness needs. Now, this moon is also flowing to Pluto in a mystic rectangle, and some of the havingness solutions are in the family of origin. Pluto down here can bring you legacy wealth or money from mom and dad, or just money from real estate transactions in the next 6 months. And yet Pluto has been is expressing his tension with this explosive volcanic energy in the house of your reputation and career, and where the star maiden says, have you stayed here too long? Have you been in one career path or job for too long? Are you exhausted and ready to leave? And possibly this opens up financial revenue opportunities or money opportunities that allow you to quit a place of exhaustion or over perseverance and diligence out of a sense of duty and obligation in the career and reputation space, Scorpios. Power is in the fourth house, and that is your childhood. And you can source a great depth of power and wealth from really recovering some parts of your childhood where you already had that power. It's like go back to the powerful little girl or boy who thought the world was his or her oyster. I'd say that looks good on you. A father figure can be a part of a restoration of financial wellness, Pluto solar energies, and that can unfortunately include inheritances for some of you, just letting you know in the next 6 months that follow. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. So in the sky, what we can see here is that you have a full moon that is showing up in your first house, and it is about you. Now, a new moon was planted here in December. Now it's coming to fulfillment, and all the things of the 6 months that follow are generating a current around the following themes. Now, you can hardly see that mystic rectangle. If I go back a day, it might be more visible, a little bit better. But I lose the moon in the right place. Sorry about that. Just trust me, there is a rectangle here. Okay, so Sagittarius. It's a kind of simple story, right? It's self and other, right? You have a full light in this house of you. Something wants to come to fullness in your own sense of self, whether it's a sun, moon, or rising, you know. And over here, you have, you know, the sun drawing your attention to orbit another person, orbit a client, orbit your marriage partner, orbit your, and, you know, like it's like gravitational solar energy in the house of other people. At what expense, you know? And maybe other people have had a Pandora's effect or spilling some woes of the world upon you. Maybe you've been involved in a relationship with a Luciferian solar figure, you know, someone who's commanding a lot of attention, who's, you know, maybe a little bit pride and hubris can be their downfall. Maybe somebody who's numbed out, Admetos and post-traumatic stress. Something, someone, some place, some client, some people are those qualities to you as you are sitting in this house of you, and the light is revealing qualities about yourself, full moon, fullness of self. Now, in essence, the moon is having some support from Pluto. And Pluto's actually moving toward the moon, right? Because he's retrograde. And that's to say, how is this fullness of self most able to become obviously powered up in the next 6 months through engagement with the third house? And that can be engagement in your daily environment with your neighbors, people you see in their regular life, things to do with your siblings, maybe even engagement in more travel opportunities that can bring you a greater sense of fulfillment. But at the same time, Pluto is opposite this sort of rage-fueled volcanic story and this frustrated, exhausted star maiden in the ninth house. And that is interesting because have you been overly attentive to matters of, this can be courts and legal issues. This can be father figures and attendance to relationships with them. Have you been highly overly focused perhaps in elements of your life that have to do with your spiritual philosophy and more religious dogmatic energies? And you need to really not be there, in a sense that this energy up here opposite Pluto suggests there's more power and transformation in the sort of surrender to the everyday. And that includes just sort of finding the divine in your daily walk. A lot of Sagittarius may have a kind of a volcanic release in the next 6 months, though, and it can be positive, that really aligns you with a deeper sense of purpose. That's for sure. That can come through the chart for you in the next 6 months. And that some of that can involve travel or creative opportunities involving writing or publishing. Capricorn, mystic rectangle, trust me, it's really there, has been formed here on a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius in your 12th house. Well, it's all soul worky, right? Because 12th house is like full spiritual liberation. It's your unconscious, it's your Akashic records, it's your past lives, it's your solitude, it's your self-undoing. It's a lot of stuff. It's a very quiet place in the sense that it doesn't show up in our real life very obviously. Your dreams at night can reveal more there, but you're having a full light in a deep spiritual place. And so it's like a full moon here now. You planted a seed in December. Now it's fulfilling itself over the next 6 months, like a fruit tree bearing tree. But the opposition to the sun and all of this junk over here in your sixth house, which fallen angel and numbed out post-traumatic Admetos. This is, and woes of the world, Pandora with hope in the box. I mean, this is like your work house, your health house, your situation where you have karmic debt or real life debt. And so this energy has been in your health matters, has been drawing some of your attention to the point where maybe it's time to look more deeply at the light of your solitude, your contemplation, and what's within yourself in order to resolve whatever this is about. I mean, it could be disruption of the work story in the next 6 months because you don't really want to be in that work environment at this point. But a lot of the energy of this mystic rectangle is also about your finances, right? Houses 8 and 2. So work, finances, money, and soul work are in the mix. Don't forget, we're getting lemonade from this intense energy of the mystic rectangle. And so it's almost like the linchpin is the full moon. And by looking at the inner darkness, there's Lilith up here, and your inner darkness of your own psyche and soul, you're really able to fulfill some kind of tension in your longer money stories of what money you have, what money you invested, what money you have from inheritance, what money you have from your own earnings, the money, earnings, tension story, the money you share with a spouse or don't share, the money you have for yourself. This energy is in critical combustion in this rectangle here to be resolved over the next 6 months. Any health matters you need to resolve as well, especially if they're karmic, can be resolved in the next 6 months, especially with Pluto in the second house. Some of the ways you resolve your health challenges, guys, is to power up into better things you put in your mouth. And it could be also with this combination, an end of an addictive substance habit abuse for some of you, for sure. One more thing, volcanic energy in the 8th house of chunky money can be in a sudden kind of volcanic explosion of chunky money coming through, like a karmic debt repayment plan in your sky. So you may experience some kind of explosive increase of your financial wellness over the next 6 months. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising, I am one of you. This is a story of the sky telling us that you have a full moon lighting up your 11th house of good spirit. And therefore, you planted a new moon here in December. Now it's full. And maybe you're looking at your career gains in particular, or your larger social groups and friendship networks as an indication of this is going to be becoming fulfilled, or there's a greater light in this part of your life. But it's also connected to the opposition to a solar energy in your 5th house. And that's your joy, fun, enjoyment, muse, inspiration, creativity, and entrepreneurial energy. And there's tension here, obviously, because it's sun opposite moon. And you planted a new moon in the 11th house, and maybe that allowed you to see some great endeavors up here, more career gains, more time socially, influencing larger groups of belonging, yada, yada. I can relate. I'm an Aquarius rising. But now we're looking at where's the joy, where's the fun, where's the pleasure, where's the creativity? And there's hope in the bottom of Pandora's box, even though you might be post-traumatically a little stressed and numbed out at the sacrifice you've made here, and maybe a little angelic fall because the bright light was so arrogant. It could just continually, defy the rules of heaven. Or a focus on your children, or a focus on a romantic relationship, all at what cost? At what cost here? Now, you might notice that you have Pluto in the house of youth as a part of this rectangle, and that's not to be scared of, okay? I know you're afraid of Pluto, everyone is, but you are becoming more authentically aligned with divine willpower as you express yourself through the alignment with transpersonal evolutionary forces beyond yourself, as you become more authentically powerful and learn the true meaning of power and wealth. That's that story. As you embody this energy as an Aquarius, you might notice that in the mystic rectangle, which you can't see, but it is here, Pluto is opposite a volcanic explosion in the house of significant others. And there may be something about an explosion or a rage or a disruption in the house of you, how you relate to your audience, your marketplace, or your significant other in the next 6 months. But because Mystic rectangles bring lemonade from the lemons, right? We notice good things happening here. Moon is flowing to Pluto. You are powering up in your career gains through authentic personal willpower and divine alignment, for example. Pluto is flowing to the sun. You are powering up in your authentic expression of creativity, muse, and inspiration. And then this volcanic explosion allows for that fuel of vitality and enjoyment to be released. Now, this doesn't have to be like, I know people like, oh my God, is my relationship going to end? Probably my partner's going to wonder that. No, doesn't mean that at all. But there can be some massive changes here, especially if things have been like perseverantly star maiden with not a willingness to give up on situations that may not be tenable in some fundamental way. The moon in the 11th house can bring a sense of full light in the public eye. And some of you may have an explosive, full illumination of you, like a celebrity vibe going on somewhere in the next 6 months ahead, especially because the 5th house is a house of the stage. So there's this energy there too that could light you up in the sky over the next 6 months as a very well-known or well-seen or well-influenced or influential persona, but authentically powerful because of the Pluto placement. All right, and then we're going to move into the Pisces people, and you have this mystic rectangle like this. I know it's hard to see because we moved the moon forward, right? You might be the one of the people I can go back a day and you'll still see the mystic rectangle. Let's try it out. I want to go back a day. Yay. So it's on the 23rd, and here we have this mystic rectangle in your sky. And I would say this, back in December, you planted a new moon, new seed in your 10th house of career and reputation. And now it's coming to a full light. And so you want to fulfill something, you want to be, bring a light to it. With Lilith here, you're able to look at the darker sides of the light you wish to shine in your career and reputation space. And at the same time, you'll notice that this moon is opposite a sun in the 4th house. So it's a home career axis, and you're really trying to figure out how to shine brightly in your career while balancing your home and finding hope in the home and getting off of that numb, suppressed post-traumatic rage about things that have happened in and from your home. And at the same time, you notice that you have Pluto opposite this part of your sky. This is the axis of karmic baggage and karmic self-undoing. And so a lot of power is coming to you to have a spiritual awakening and liberation in the next 20 years, but also in the shorter term of this moon over the next 6 months, undo the karmic baggage that you're carrying, create new momentum in your work life and health, improve your health from and in your home, but not at the expense of your career, but because of it, by being a full light at the top of the sky in purposeful career. You are finding that you're improving not only the work and the work routines and the work environment, but you're improving your wellness physically in sudden, explosive, and volcanic ways, as well as persevering towards better work and health matters with the star maiden who doesn't give up. Pluto in your 12th house, you're going to live it for 20 years. It's a 20-year story. You're going to learn. This is like Enlightenment 101. I went through it when it was going through Capricorn. I had major spiritual awakenings. So nothing gets to stay on the surface. It's volcanically intense right now because whatever awakening spiritually you have in the next 6 months, Pisces, it's got this kind of like surge effect, like a power surge, eruption of clearing the karma, clearing the family of origin karma and the traumas around your dad relationship, in particular from your childhood. Things to do with getting over this sort of numbed out post-traumatic stress about family of origin, dad or patrilineal stories that come through the ancestral line and even through your past lives. I think that with that moon up here, connected to a mystic rectangle, connected to this beautiful mystic rectangle, that your truest path to create the lemonade from the lemons is about fulfilling yourself in your career space, to really show up in that space of your career. And when you do that and you find that fullness, you flow to this exciting eruptive energy in your work. And so work and career flow, right? And Pluto power, soul power, deeper power, not just surface power. Soul-powered career fulfillment and work fulfillment over the next 6 months as you uncover, reveal, and heal and let go of family of origin and karmic childhood shit, especially regarding dad. Excuse my language. There is hope in Pandora's box. No matter how the woes of your childhood befell you, there's hope in the bottom of that box. And I think a lot of resiliency here regarding things that have happened in your childhood. Now, home and home life challenges as well can find hope in the bottom of the barrel here of Pandora's box, which, by the way, was an urn with a cork in it, not a box. Like an urn, with a cork. Cosmic Moonshine newsletter. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit my notification bell. If you want to go back and watch my Pluto powered video that I put out, I don't know, a week ago on this full moon. By the time you're watching this, it's at least a week ago, and you don't want to listen to world events, just skip that section, okay? But what can you do? I crossed the boundary on YouTube land and I hit a roadblock. And so I'm going to be much more cautious going forward. If you like my channel, go and like all of my videos and subscribe to them all or something like that. Because the algorithmic punch when you get like a bit of a red flag in YouTube land is pretty intense. So it may really completely be a challenge I hope I can overcome, but I want you guys to be a part of that. So like, subscribe, and do all the good things. Somebody's coming into my Zoom room extremely early. So, end.